Hey everyone, so it's a new week today, and today we're going to be working on the devlog, of course. And what I'm going to start off with this week is getting the emissive things to work, because after my last video on the devlog, tons of other studios who I've mentioned before gave me the fantastic idea of rather than trying to change the intensity, I should just change the colour. So rather than make it go from like an intensity of like 10 to 0, make it go from pink to black, and the emissive will just instantly cut off when it goes to black anyway. So we're going to work on that today. And then the rest of this week is just more about getting the actual wave set up. So a boss enemy would be quite cool to come onto by the end of this week. We'll see how far we get, but mainly getting the waves actually like set up. So yeah, we're going to get to work on that and we'll catch back up when it's all done. That took a while, took a bit longer than I thought it was, and it was kind of annoying. Like the whole system just didn't want to work, but in the end I got it to work. So it's quite okay system, I think. So if I show you the code here, so we have an array of game objects, and these objects are the ones that get affected by the intensity. So that's the health dome and the magic wall thing. So we have a material called the copy map, and I set that in the inspector just being their material, but I just do it like that because it's easier. So we enable it to use emission, and then we get the emission color. We need to do that because we're using the shaders, and that's just how it works. So then we do a for loop, and we set every object in the array to have that copy material. That's done and dusted, sorted. So then, whenever an enemy enters the trigger, what we do is we get the color's R value and we divide it by 100 and then we times it by 2. I'll get on to why we do that after. How we do that for the B value. We don't do anything to G because that's 0 anyway. Because we're using that purpley pink color, it's R and B is 1 and 1 and its G is 0. So the reason we divide it by 100 is because it's RGB, it's between 0 and 1 and those do damages of like 10 and 2.5, so we have to divide it. Now, the timesing it by 2 you might be confused by. Well, that's just because we have intensity on it. The intensity value, if we make that 1, which is in the engine now, it actually doubles all the RGB values, which gives it the glow, so we need to do that. So the reason we times it by 2 is because if we do 10 damage, divide it by 100, we get 0.1, and it doesn't really add up anymore. So we times it by 2, becomes 0.2, it adds up with that 2 value, if that makes sense. Basically we double it because the intensity has doubled the RGB. We then make the colour this new colour with the new values. We set the copy map colour to be that, and then we do a for loop and we set their emission colour to this, and that's all it needs and it works. It wasn't working for ages, but finally got it done. So as you can see on this material, the emission map, that's the colour we're affecting. Because its intensity is that, it's actually 1, all the RGB values have doubled, so that's why we do that. So we'll wait for this bar to hit him, and then boom. So we hit him, and we have a new material instance, which is fine. So now we check the emission map, and as you can see, it's gone to 1.1, 1.8 and 1.8, and the intensity has also gone down. So we keep watching it now. You'll slowly see these things start to fade and fade away, and the particles also fade away. So as you can see, we get to about here. I'm going to pause just because he'll die in a sec. But as you can see, there's basically no emission on it now at all. We check the emission map. The value is that, basically 0.4, which is double the health, which is fine, because when that goes to 0, this one should be 0. And that's how it needed to work, and it worked really well. And then death. And then we have this little geek game over thing, which I set up last week. Yeah, so the game over is just a camera, and it goes from one end to the other. And yeah, colour works and the particles work, which are the two main things I wanted to get done. So the next thing that we're going to be working on this week is getting a boss enemy. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a boss enemy straight away, or if I'll just, scale up one of the enemies we've got and give them more damage. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure how I'm going to do bosses yet. I want them all to have like cool effects. I've got some plans for how what's going to happen. So yeah, we're going to work on that this week, and I'll see how far I get with implementing the game's first boss.
何？お前はもう死んでいる。
Hey everyone. So, just getting to work on it then, and you saw some footage of me like trying to get the bossing set up, and like, it kind of worked, but then it did not at all. For some reason when I was playing, they would tend to get stuck, like all the enemies would get stuck at that block. And I don't know why, they get stuck on this row exactly, like even if I moved it up, they'd get stuck. So I had to annoyingly revert the branch back, because obviously I use version control, and I had to go back a branch and do the whole boss setup again, but I think I've done it better this time. So there's normal enemy, I think there's like 5 it can spawn. And there he is, there's our boss. And then he carries on like normal. One thing I don't think I actually did this video so far is actually introduce him. If I haven't, this is Ebrietas, which is Latin for brawler, and I'm quite happy with that name. It's a work in progress, so it might change, but I'm really happy with how he looks like. So he's got these like, oh, this camera still needs to be fixed. He's got all these like glowing parts and like glowing bits between his abs. Glowing eye, he's only got one eye and it's like smoking. So as you can see him there, he's got like all this hair. I've got like a whole backstory for him. But how I'm doing the spawning is, if you know Shadow of Mordor, when a boss, like when you meet a mini boss in that game, or just a boss like your nemesis, it pops up with like, well, one of my nemesis I had was called Pug, and he'd pop up and like a little like chanting thing, the camera would be on him, and there'd be like a text pop up saying his name. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna have like I'm gonna be working on like the rest of this week getting a little text pop up saying like Ebrietas has arrived, something like that, something cool like that, and then yeah. Also, the boss does like a lot of damage. Can't remember how much I set him to do, but let's find out. 20. As you can see, I kind of need to work out. I need to sort out when it does the damage and when it deletes. But yeah, so it does 20 damage, and that happens. Right, so we'll catch back up when I have a new update for this week. Hello, everyone. So it's been a little bit of time since I last caught up with everyone. So the boss was finished. I was in the last one, and I was working with the waves. And we got it working quite easily. Well, that was a lie. So if you see here, we have a wave at the top. Wave 0, that's what you're on. We have a new wave manager script, which only just tracks how many waves there are and the max number of waves. So for this test, I've done 3. And how it works is quite good. So we have a max enemy number, which is 1. And every wave it goes up by 1. So that way this can spawn more enemies and more. And that's how it works. And when you get to the final wave, the boss will spawn. And it's quite simple. You also get points at the end of each wave, depending on how many enemies you killed in that wave. So I'd add a few more variables in, which tells you how many enemies you destroyed and enemies destroyed per wave. There's also an enemies remaining thing, so that way it knows when to go to the end wave scene. And when you get to the end of the wave, I was going to make it so after a few seconds it just carries on, but for me I didn't really like that. I like to have like a button, so you can say, okay, I'm ready to go to the next wave, please. And then you'll go to the next wave. And to be honest, it all worked out much better than I thought it was going to. At one point the game like completely broke. You might have seen that in some of the footage that I was showing before. Like how, for some reason, the enemies would just get stuck on this block. I had no idea why. I still don't really know why. It was something to do with how the boss was spawning, but I fixed that. So the only thing I've really got left to show you is the first full gameplay loop, I guess you'd call it. So wave 2, and 2 enemies will spawn this wave. Hopefully be able to kill one and get a point. And if you remember from how the enemies spawn, it's all like kind of like random which ones will spawn. So to be honest, each wave won't be different, but like there will be differences between waves, which I quite like. And as you see, we killed one there, so we got an extra point at the end. If we had killed both of them, we would have got 2 points. So I've actually got enough points to spawn another tower. So we'll just see how this wave goes. We killed 3, so we got 3 points. So we have 4.5, which is really going to help us for the boss. Something else I should know added in is, you can see that the magical essence now is 0.5, so well, I made it a float. So enemies give you different point amounts. So the small enemies give you half a point, and the normal enemies give you 1 point. That just made it a lot better for me. So now we have to deal with big guy. So Ebrietas, the first boss of the game, is spawning in. So now I'm going to place one of these towers down just because I think it would really help if we can stun him and do like little bits of damage to him over time. Because he has like 50 health, because I want him to do a lot of damage. Now this boss I have an idea for. What he's going to do is when he gets to the main base... Oh yeah, we've killed him. Look how easy that was. Work in progress for balancing. When he gets to the main base, he's actually not going to die straight away. My plan for him is he's going to try... Hopefully I can get to work. He's going to stay there and constantly do damage. It won't be loads of damage, but he might do like 10 damage like every second. He'll just punch, punch, punch. So yeah, so he's going to be walking along. Oh no, those towers are basically useless now. I'd refund them. So yeah, I got rid of them to get some points back. I can't get rid of that one anymore because it's the only tower there. I mean, I do have another point for another tower, but let's just see how this tower does. It should destroy him. Yeah, you survived. Basically, I just copied over the game over menu and I put this for it because it was quick. And it's Friday and I wanted to get this video done. Some things I'm going to work on in the week is just getting things to look a bit nicer, possibly adding a bit more to the Wave UI. I'm not going to work on the boss's functionality just yet. That might be something I'll do on video. If you want it on video, let me know. But yeah, the boss's functionality will basically be he'll get to like this end block right before here. Instead of just dying, he'll punch it and he'll constantly do damage. And yeah, that was basically it for how I got this to work. It worked really well actually. So that was the first gameplay loop of the game, which I was really happy with. Pretty sure that's everything I wanted to show off for this week. We've actually done the milestone. All this stuff has been ticked off. The next will be to do sounds, particles, animations. So if you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen that for the animations, I realised I can rig it. I was going to just do it in Unity and just make the blocks go like that. But I don't know, I think I'd rather rig it so I can get some cooler animations going on. We'll have a look, see what I can do. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe and share the game out. We're like 115 subscribers, so that's really cool. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.